I want to get on my right forearm, talk less. On my left forearm, do more. Talk less, do more. Bam, bam. That's because all kinds of people have come to me in my life and said, man, I wish I had a podcast. I wish I had a YouTube channel. I wish I had all the equipment you had. Everyone says, if only. If only. I want to do this and I want to do that. And no one ever does anything. They just talk about their dreams without ever pursuing them. People want it so badly. Why don't you go for it? Why don't you do it? I bought everything in this studio. I bought my camera with my own money. I worked at a car wash. Again, 13 and a half hours a day to buy everything in this room. I practiced. I have spent time. I've made horrible videos. I practiced and worked my butt off to make it happen. I've balanced school and podcasts. It's really tough. It's really hard. I stay up till 3 almost every night. The point is, want is meaningless. You can talk about how badly you want things all you want, but want has no value. Can you send your want into employers and play it for them? No, you cannot. What you can do is you can clip out parts of a podcast and send that to employers, and they might hire you because they like your podcast. The podcast has actual value, substance. You can't hold it, but it's worth something. Your desire is worth almost nothing unless you act on it. The Panthers have traded their wide receiver Kelvin Benjamin to the Bills for a 2018 third-round draft pick and a seventh-round draft pick. The reason I went down that whole rant about value is that the NFL completely overvalues draft picks. Trading Kelvin Benjamin from the Panthers to the Bills for 2 draft picks, a third-round and a seventh-round draft pick, makes no sense to me. You know, when this happened, I expected there to be reports like, Kelvin Benjamin's struggling in the locker room. He's not taking care of business. He's fighting with players. He's causing problems. That is not what we heard. The news we got out of the Panthers locker room was Panthers players were shocked. The Panthers couldn't believe what happened. Why did we trade Kelvin Benjamin? I don't understand. Trading Kelvin Benjamin for draft picks was a really stupid move. Here's why. I know Kelvin Benjamin is not a star. But Kelvin Benjamin is a good, decent starter. He's not amazing. He's not a Pro Bowler, but he gets the job done. He's a starter and contributes to your football team in this league. He's a known commodity. He has value. Similar to a podcast, he has value. Your want has no value. Your podcast does. Your videos you make, that is something you can send to people and use as a resume. Draft picks are nothing. Draft picks are just like your desire. They don't actually mean anything. Draft picks are potential. They don't even, and not even good potential. They didn't even get good potential. A third-round draft pick is garbage. A seventh-round draft pick is absolutely nothing. I'm not a big stats guy. I'm really not a big stats guy. But here's an opportunity to use stats in a positive way. Super Bowl Nation's website, arrowheadpride.com. I'll leave the link below so you can you can fact check me. You can look at my opinion. You can look at where I got the numbers. They break down by position what round a draft pick's likelihood is to be a starter. So what I mean by that is offensive lineman, quarterback, tight end, receiver. How likely is a first round tight end, receiver, quarterback, whatever it is, to be a starter in the NFL? So I've averaged it out. Roughly, a first round draft pick has well over 50%. I mean, like we're talking over 60% chance of being a starter. So if you draft a first round draft pick, you're more than 60% likely to get a starting NFL football player. Offensive linemen, for example, are 83% of first-round offensive linemen are starters. A second-round draft pick is 50% or lower, roughly around 40% likely to be a starter. A third-round draft pick is where it gets really bad. A third-round draft pick is less than 40% likely to be an NFL starter. So less than 40% of third-round draft picks are NFL starters. Not good starters, not stars. Starters. People that can actually play and help your football team. The 7th round is even worse. 7th round draft picks are less than 10%. All of them. All of them are less than 10% likely to be NFL starters. So you could pick 100 players in the 7th round, like 6 of them are going to be starters. That is horrible odds. You traded a known commodity. The Panthers traded Kelvin Benjamin, someone you knew could play, a known commodity for nothing. You rolled the dice. I just don't believe in that. I think of all the trades we saw around the NFL trade deadline, Kelvin Benjamin to the Bills for 2 draft picks, bad draft picks. The 3rd round draft pick and the 7th round draft pick was a horrible trade. I prefer a sure bet. That's why I like Starbucks. Starbucks, at least when I go to Starbucks, I know what I'm getting. You know I'm weird. I'm a weird guy. I'm not. Starbucks is a sure bet every time. I'm going to go down this rabbit hole. I don't care. I know you get a 6 out of 10 cup of coffee, but you know that every time you go to Starbucks, you're going to get a 6 out of 10 cup of coffee. I know this is weird. I don't care. I value consistency in my friends, in my vehicles, in my coffee. And I value known commodities. I know what I'm getting every time I go to Starbucks. I know what I'm getting every time Kelvin Benjamin runs onto the football field. For every, people ask me, why don't you go to mom and pop coffee shops? That's because for every 10 out of 10 cup of coffee, 10 of them, for every 10 out of 10 cup of coffee, the other 10 are like 2s and 3s. At Starbucks, I know every time I'm going to get a 6 out of 10. I'm going to get a 6 out of 10 cup of coffee. It's dependable and reliable. And we are undervaluing dependable and reliable. We know what Kelvin Benjamin can do. These draft picks, that's a shot in the dark. You're rolling the dice on unknown commodities.